Sad times. We've come to the end in Langkawi, so this will be our last walk and talk here. We've been here 6 weeks. That's a story in itself, how we came to be in Langkawi for 6 weeks. So in this video, I'll tell you that, our reflections on Langkawi, and the usual, a little bit about accommodation, what we've seen and done, what we didn't do, a bit about world schooling community, and would we come back, most of all. So stay tuned for all that. Shall we have a little walk? Our last one. Come on. So 6 weeks I said we were here. Let's start with that story. So when we were in London, days before we were flying out, only then did we book our week in Kuala Lumpur. So when we got to Kuala Lumpur, we were then frantically booking where we were going to go next. So we booked a month in Penang through Airbnb. And that all just felt a little bit rushed to me. So not long of us being in Penang, did I say, can we book the next one so we can truly relax here in Penang and not feel rushed about booking the next place? So we did. So we booked the next place, Langkawi, a week into Penang. In hindsight, there was a really good world schooling community in Penang, and I think we would have probably stayed there a little bit longer. Or the intention was we had 3 weeks left. If we were going to do a month in Langkawi, we had about 3 weeks left to play with to go somewhere else. So that was the intention. So we booked 28 nights in this accommodation in Langkawi through Airbnb. And that was done almost a month before getting here, so we could relax. So we were quite sad to leave Penang, if you've seen that video. There's a video on my hubby's channel of us in the airport talking about it. So we were quite sad to leave because we had a really good world schooling community. But we were moving on. This is it. It's part of travelling full time, right? So we moved on and we got into Langkawi, and we're not city people. We're not high-rise people. So when we saw we were getting the taxi from the airport to the place, and we saw it was not so high-rise, it was open, it was green, taxi driver was friendly, everything was grand. And then we came across our place. We turned up our roads. I recognised it because I'd already seen on the maps the walk to here, because I knew I'd want to do this every day. So I'd already got in my mind about the streets. So I knew we were turning up our street. And there was derelict buildings. There was old rusty scrap cars been all cluttered in this space. Bins emptied everywhere. I was like, oh, this doesn't fill me with hope. Is this what it is? Anyway, we turned up at the place, and again, it didn't give us a good vibe. And basically, I could do a whole video on that, but it wasn't good. We ended up staying there 2 nights, and we asked to get our money back. He said he'd give us half. We eventually went through Airbnb and got a majority of it back. But we spent the whole month in Penang and we didn't see any cockroaches at all. There were cockroaches, there was an infestation of bees in the bathroom, there was mould in the bathroom. That was internal. It was very dated, but that was as per pictures. But outside was where it hit, like at the pool, stunk of cat poo. You couldn't put your towel down anywhere, there's no lounges, so you had to try and find somewhere there wasn't cat poo to put your towel down. The edges, the concrete around the pool had all broken away, massive holes with the metal in it. Really not safe, really not cared for. There was even bills on the office door to show all the people that haven't been paying their bills. So hence they're not going to maintain these properties, are they? So that's why we left. So we then frantically looked for somewhere else. We went in person to see if we can get it cheaper because we knew the people in Penang were getting their places cheaper. We're like, how are you doing this? So we went to go and see if we can speak to people face to face. We still got the tourist prices, so that wasn't going to work. And then Richard put on a post on Facebook, and he spoke to somebody and said, oh, we've got something here. You can go and speak to this person and see what you can do. She was living there with her family. So we did. We spoke to this person. We went around. It was this massive place with a downstairs kitchen, upstairs, like actually 4 rooms, but one was like an office. And that's what we ended up staying in. But to get the discount, the more local discount, it was a case of paying for 2 months. So hence we stayed the rest of the time here. So the prices, I'll go into them a bit more in the Malaysian video, because I'm going to talk about all that stuff in there, because that's across the board in Malaysia. I'd want this one to be specifically Langkawi. So that place, we didn't have any internet, so we had to hotspot. There was internet by the pool, but not in the place, so that was a bit awkward. So things we did. The first thing we did the very next day after we got here was to see the Crocodile Adventureland, and that's because my eldest is obsessed with reptiles, dinosaurs, dragons, all these things. So that was the first thing she wanted to do. Again, I'm going to do a whole video on that because of some of the things we saw. But I'll put some footage over, because if you don't look into it too much, you know, there were some good educational points in there, and it was good to see these crocodiles up close, I guess. But it did have some conflict within us, so I'll do a separate video on that. But she loved it. There was little shows. You could see them in these pens. I'm trying to give it a better light, can you tell? And it is what it is. We saw it, we talked about it, and I'll go into more depth, but I'll put some pictures over the top. Then, because we saw something for the eldest, we needed to see something for the youngest, and she's turtle mad. Turtles and mermaids. So we went to the aquarium at Penang. And again, some things there that we weren't too keen to see. But again, aquarium is an aquarium. And again, it was good. She saw her turtles, and we saw some amazing things that we wouldn't have otherwise seen. So that was the aquarium. Dream Forest. Dream Forest is a story of Langkawi's past, and the giants turned into all the big mountains. So it was nice, and it was through the woods. There was all little fairy lights. Very girly. The girls absolutely loved it. There was a point where you could toast marshmallows. It was very interactive, you know. Walking through the woods at night, obviously wearing long sleeves, you don't get bitten. And sort of, you know, projectors of the characters and the stories, and having these stories literally come to life. There was one point my daughter loved it because the lights came on from sound, so you'd scream or sing, and these lights would all come on and dance. So she loved that bit. Well worth a trip. We went to FB Cafe for pizza, which is right next to Dream Forest. We went there before, and I can highly recommend those pizzas. Yesterday then, we'll save one of the best till last, I think. Yesterday we went to the mangrove tour. Now, hubby is all about trees. He loves his trees. That's who he is, what he does. He's a forester by trade. So he said he's going to do a video on mangroves. So once he's done that, I'll drop that in the description box. And if you want to learn a bit more about mangroves, you can check it out with hubby. So we saw the mangroves. Just beautiful being in this boat to ourselves. Wind in our hair. It was just so nice. And so we were looking around the mangroves first, and we tried to get in this crocodile cave. So they have a crocodile cave, and so my daughter already was aware that you're not going to see crocodiles. We'd seen somebody else do this to her. But the crocodile entrance was the shape of a crocodile. But the tide was high, and the boat has a bit of a roof on it, so we couldn't get in the cave, unfortunately. But we did get into the back caves. Now, my only disappointment there is these tours say that these things are listed for the price. And we got to the back caves and it was £2 per person. And then if you wanted a torch, and I was just a bit like, thought this was included. The price is irrelevant. I mean, it's not, it was minimal, but that's not the point. I was just wasn't expecting it. And because we were coming at the end of our time, we didn't have a lot of cash on us. So luckily we were able to do it. Otherwise we'd have missed out on that as well. So not only did we not go in the crocodile cave, we could nearly have not gone in the back cave because we weren't aware to bring any more cash. So that was that. And then, save the best till last, we saw the eagles, or I'm glad I got here when I said that, or the Brahminy eagles. Can you see it there? This is the Brahminy eagle. Brahminy kite it is. That's what that is. So that's why that is there. The symbol of Langkawi is the eagle, or the Brahminy kite to be specific. Lang means eagle, Kawi means rock. So that's where Langkawi gets its name. And that's why the eagle or Brahminy kite is their symbol. So we saw them. The guy put a bit of meat out a couple of times and they all came swarming down, and watching them feed, it was amazing. I've said in these videos how amazing these eagles are and how common. We also did see an actual sea eagle. So they do have actual eagles here, but these are the kites. So yeah, that was the highlight of that tour for me. We only did that yesterday. While we were over that side of the island, we called into a beach and chilled there for a little bit, and then went down the coast to Scarborough. And I'm down the coast from Scarborough originally in Redcar, back in England. So I had to go and check that out. I don't eat meat or fish, so hubby had to taste the fish and chips and he said it was really good. So recommend there. And then throughout the day we had thunder and lightning, but we managed to miss it. We saw it, but we were in the dry. So they are the actual activities we did. Now, I've said in my worldschooling video that because of budget and because we're not tourists, we're living here and we're educating our girls with what we see. So we just did one activity a week. So that's 4 big things. We didn't do something every week here, just because we were finding our feet. I'll move on to what we didn't do in a bit and why. But yeah, so one a week or thereabouts is enough for us. We learn, we educate ourselves and the girls, and that's how we work it. And the rest of the time is living. The rest of the time is normal, general, typical education. But if you want to know more, check that video out, the worldschooling one. The other thing we did was one of the families. So we actually didn't see anyone when we got to this new accommodation. We didn't see anyone, not even this woman who Richard spoke to. We didn't see anyone for like 2 weeks. So we were feeling really isolated compared to like Penang and the massive worldschooling community, 3 times a week meetups, to nothing. And knowing there was a family here and we hadn't seen them, we were like, what's going on? It just felt very isolated. So there is no worldschooling community here. So I'll come on to that in a bit. But when we did see this family, then we saw another family. So there's 2 families we got quite close to. But one of them told us about this event that was happening the other side near Chenang Beach, because we were based in Kua. So the other side of the island in Chenang Beach, we went to this hotel, and every year they do this event. It's like a family fun day thing. They have like a splash party. You can buy water guns and there's just water everywhere with the kids. They loved it. food, beach, lounges, sunsets, everything, even massages. And I had a little reflexology, as did hubby actually. So that was a really good day, and it was free, just buy your food and drink there. So that was really good. I did have one massage over in Penang that I can highly recommend. I can't tell you the name of it, so if you want to come here, all I can do is describe it to you. So if you go to the aquarium and you're looking at the aquarium, to the right of the aquarium, you'll see a cafe or a restaurant that has seating outside, and some of those seats are a swing. So we were going to go in there, and we never got back to it. Next to that, to the right-hand side of that, is this place that I went to, which I'd highly, highly recommend. Very good. Definitely knew what reflexology was. I think a lot of places just say it's reflexology and give you a foot massage, which is quite disappointing when you know the difference. So and so it was like a foot spa for 10 minutes, reflexology, and then back massage. So it was really good, and it was 109 ringgits, which is like 20 quid. So you can't go wrong for that. Didn't manage to get back, so there you go. There's some advice. Right, things we didn't do. Okay, so we were told or advised or warned, made aware of, that last year, back end of last year, there was an unfortunate incident in Langkawi where a 2-year-old boy, I think, was stung by a jellyfish and unfortunately died. So everybody was very cautious and said to either not go in the water or be careful if you do. So we heard that early on, so we didn't really go in. We just literally walked along and paddled. It was in that hotel day, that was the first day we actually all went in properly. Use your own discernment with that. It's just something you've got to be aware of. It's a very sad incident that makes you think about these things, right? So we basically didn't go in the sea a lot. So we'll leave that for the next place. Sky cab. So we didn't do the sky cab. Again, it was the complete opposite end of the island. So we'd have to get a taxi all the way there. And then there seems to be 3 parts to it. So you get the sky cab up, then there's a walk or some other mode of transport you can get. And with having a little 5-year-old, we would need to do that, especially in the heat. And then when you get to the top of that, then you get to the sky bridge and then you walk on that. So there's 3 things you need to pay for, plus your taxi. And we didn't do the habitat at Penang, which is the similar thing, like a bridge that you walk around, because of the expense. Because again, it was a taxi. It was getting up Penang Hill. Then there was the cost of that. So we didn't do it, and we said, we'll do it in Langkawi, because we knew that there was one here. But again, when we looked into it, it was just quite costly. And then something else made me go, the reviews had said you have to give your bottles of water in. I was like, it's boiling hot. You've got kids. I get you want us to buy drinks, but we're going to buy a drink because we've only got 1 bottle of water each. We're going to buy a drink. And I just found that really off. Like, that's a safety issue. So, look, again, use your discernment. If you've got the budget, you want to give it a try, you haven't got little E's, you might want to do it. But we opted not to. I'm not saying it's not a good experience to have. It's just something you've got to factor in your budget, right? So they were the things we didn't do. So then we move on to the worldschooling community, or lack thereof. So no, there is no worldschooling community here. Like I said, we met those 2 other families, which were a lifesaver really for us. But saying that, we didn't see them that much because they spent the days educating their kids too. But then most days they would come out and use the pool, and that would be our social time, and at weekends. So my daughter's made a friend called Bella. She even slept over one night. Basically, it was good to use it as motivation to do the work in the day. It was like, or blackmail, whatever you want to say. So get your work done, then you can see Bella, Like I say, we leave tomorrow. She's made this really good friend. this is the first time. You know, we made some good friends in the world schooling communities, but in Penang, but not. It wasn't like living with them. So this will be a bit of a first time for us to literally pull the kids apart tomorrow. Not going to be nice, but we're quite good at keeping in touch with people. She has got an email. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I'll speak to the mum today and we'll see about how we can keep in touch with Bella or video call. So with this family, we went to the beach. We went high up at the beach, so where the mangroves are, Tanjung Ru Beach. We went quite high up there with the family one night, sort of tea time-ish, took a barbecue, did some marshmallows, they took some meat. And that was a really nice time as well with these two families, and they brought a friend as well too. So yeah, that was really good. Girls' night out, so me and the girls went out, or the girls and I went out. Just one night we managed to do that, but it was lovely nonetheless. I think we're all just a bit busy and tired and kind of need our own space as well. So it only happened the one night. It would have been nice to do it a bit more. I was planning to do a spa day with them, but again, it never happened. The time just went, as these things do. The lads, however, so we had the night out first, and then I was like, oh, the lads need to go out now. And then they did every week, and they went to play darts. So one dad, Richard, went to play darts, and they team up with another guy and play darts, and he won 2 weeks in a row. So good for him, good for him. Oh, he was quite nervous the first time because he hadn't played for a while. Not that he was ever anything special, he said. But after the first time, he's like, I want to buy a dartboard. I want to buy a cheap dartboard and practice. So he was practicing. And then he won. So yeah. The next place we're going to, we've got a few nights in somewhere where there's a dartboard. So we'll keep the dartboard, the darts, and have a little go when we're there. So long video. Let's cut it short. Would we go back? Yes, we would come back here. I'm only apprehensive because it's another island and it's the cost of getting to these islands. We want to come back to Malaysia and do the east coast, and we've been told about the islands over there, Perhentian Islands and Randang. So that is on our list. I also want to do Ipoh in Malaysia. So if we didn't come back here, it would be logistical. It wouldn't be because we didn't like the place. It's a lot quieter. I wouldn't spend as long here, purely for us, just because of the world schooling community or lack thereof. I might like to be based next time over in the Penang side, or even up at the Tanjung Ru Beach, that area, because that was quite nice. We didn't actually get a car here. We got the international driving licence, and that was a chore back home, but we didn't actually get a car because it was either really, really expensive or you could afford it but had no insurance, and take that in your own hands. The person who rented the place we're in said, oh, you can have it in this, but it's illegal. Like, that's how she said it. You can have it for this price, but it's illegal. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, there's no insurance. I was like, okay. So because of that, we didn't end up getting the car. I think it comes with like third party, but then if anything else happens, you have to pay. And I think, again, because we're on a budget and we weren't sure, and we just ended up leaving it and sticking to Grabs, which is easy enough done. It's just as cheap. It's maybe just not as convenient. But then you've got to think about where you're going to park when you don't know the place, and then parking fees. And so it was just as easy for us to do the Grabs. So unfortunately, because I thought this would be the place, if any, to get a car. So because I can't see us getting a car in the next places. So all in all, Langkawi, we have loved you. Thank you for having us, and Malaysia in general. So look out for my video on Malaysia as a whole, and I'll tell you a bit more about all the ins and outs about the actual country in the next one. Thanks for watching. Much love. Bye for now.